Hey everybody, it's Patrick McFadden, CEO of Indispensable Marketing, one half of the Value Brokers. I'm here with
Peace and blessings, everybody. Rob YB Youngblood, your LinkedIn locksmith, your number one connector, chief connecting officer of YB Connects.
we're on ESPN Richmond 106.1, and today we're going to be talking about value. I know we've had a discussion kind of behind the scenes, YB, around money, relationships, family structure. What are your thoughts on what we've kind of already talked about?
Yeah, I think it's so important, man. You know, when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, it's so critical that you focus on the basics. You know, we were just talking about how, you know, you might get a big check and you might blow that thing. And then the next month you don't have that check. It's like, what do you end up doing? And so we want to give you some tips on how to just, you know, create that value within your family. Because if the home team is not right, then you can forget about long-standing business. Would you agree?
Mm, I, you brought up a good point there. Home is your first business.
Mhm.
And like you talked about, if home is not right, nothing else matters. It's too much. I often have this saying that life is hard, business is easy.
Mm.
Because life is the part that really gets in the way of everything. And I know the guy Zig Ziglar, he's passed now, but he often said that his home life is the reason that he has business success.
Yeah.
Is what happens there that allows him to go out into the world, not have worries and doubts, that the children aren't being taken care of, that the bills aren't getting paid and everything at home. So I 100%, that resonated with me when you talked about having home straight first. It's
Yeah.
almost the first business.
And you're talking so you're listening to two guys we're happily married. You know, I've been married going on 16 years. Patrick, how long?
11 years.
So we got double digits. And so the lesson that we can give you for those of you who are either about to get married, or you just, you know, maybe you just got married, you're in business, or maybe you're about to get married again, but it's just understand, man, you know, keeping your house happy, keeping your home straight, will prevent a lot of challenges in business. Now, keep in mind, you know, the things that go on in your business can impact your family life as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's vice versa. So, you know, you got to make sure you keep home happy in order for your business to thrive, but then you got to make sure your business is doing well so your family doesn't suffer. I like something that you said prior to us coming on. You talked about, hey, listen, you told your wife, yo, if we got to go back and sleep on mama's floor, I'm willing to do that because I know what, you know, what comes with this price of being a business owner, man. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, when you're getting started, it's rough. I mean, obviously you're trying to get reoccurring revenue is the biggest thing, right? Because most spouses want that consistent income.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's usually going to come through some reoccurring revenue. But anybody that's been in business for any amount of time is going to tell you there's the flows and ebbs, right?
Yeah.
1 month, 30,000, another month 2,000, another month 3,000, right? So there's ebbs and flows, and it could be by quarter or seasons. And I just remember telling my wife, I was like, look, while I'm navigating this thing and flying this plane, if we got to go back and sleep on mom's floor, it's only for a moment. See, I also put things in perspective. It's a season.
Yeah.
But if we had to, I'm willing to get down
to
and start there and keep grinding and pushing. And so, but I think that communication is key. To say like that exists, that may be a possibility. That's not what I want,
right?
But it's
I'm
a possibility.
I'm willing to take that shot, you know. And I think for a lot of men, you know, there's that ego factor, right? You know, I'm not moving back in with your parents. You know, what do I look like? I'm supposed to be the provider. But sometimes we have to make, you know, strategic moves. We might have to take one step back to then propel 5 steps forward, removing that ego, because at the end of the day, when you can have your solid foundation, it can lead to lifelong business, right? That lives outside of you, because you have that foundation straight. You know, I think about a tower. I think about let's say like a skyscraper. You know, you can only have a super high skyscraper unless your foundation is super deep. You know what I mean? So you can't expect to have a 100-story skyscraper with like a 2-foot foundation, right? That thing is going to topple over. Matter of fact, you probably won't even be able to build it. But if you have a solid, deep foundation, that extends way below the ground, and it'll hold and support everything that's above the ground.
You know, this conversation reminds me of something that I used to do as an analogy all the time, which is most business owners and entrepreneurs are like athletes. So think about it. When you're a great athlete, what you do is never the problem. Running the ball, shooting the ball, dribbling it, you're great at that. What always takes them out? Personal life.
Personal life.
Right? And so when you think about it, the craft that they have, they're superb.
Yeah.
But that foundation for the personal life cripples the business. It cripples their opportunity to excel in what they do in terms of an athlete. And so I always thought about that. I was like, man, it's the personal life of a business owner that cripples their business. Yeah. It's never really because usually they're typically great at what they do. But if that not having that foundation at home or in their personal life, you only could build that business so high before things start creeping in and, you know, things from a personal standpoint. So I always think about that from an athlete standpoint, like, man, they're great at what they do, but the personal life is what took them out.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of it has to stem with, you know, how you were raised as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a single parent home. My father was murdered when I was 2. And so I didn't see a successful marriage. But thankfully, I was exposed to mentors who, you know, had a successful marriage, or maybe they overcame a divorce and now they teaching me what not to do. You know what I'm saying? They teach me what not to do. So one of the things that I would encourage you as the listener, if you're listening to this and you're looking at building a business and looking at your relationship, is really get that home team straight. You know, finding people that you can bring into your circle that have done what you're striving to do. You know, having those mentors, those coaches, even down to investing in a relationship coach. You know, someone who can teach you the things that they've done. Now, we talked about this too. Like, there's a whole lot of folks that's in the coaching space, right? Everybody's got that title coach, but they can't coach their way out of a paper bag, a wet paper bag at that. But you got to make sure people have receipts. And, you know, I mean, shout out to my coach, Glenn P. Brooks Jr., who, you know, but between him and his wife, they've been married 3 times, right? But they've been together married 22 years. So what they're able to teach my wife and me the mistakes that they made, because his wife was married twice, he was married once, and, you know, and together they've been together 22 years. But they can teach us how to build a successful relationship, and that adds value to us, right? Yeah. And once we live and operate in that manner, then we can not only add value to each other, but we can add value to our children. We're both entrepreneurs. My wife is a CPA. She has her own consulting firm where she works with churches. You know, so we have to make time for each other, add value to each other, so that our family can thrive, so that our business can thrive. But you gotta bring in that reinforcement. You gotta bring in some help.
Yeah, you know, one thing you said, which brought back to my memory, when you were talking about the family dynamics and the structure. Yeah. I actually want to bring this up too, real quick before I go there. Anybody that's been in business, well, I think we've all made this mistake, especially if we have a spouse that's not entrepreneurial. And if you start saying, I got this possible deal, and then over time you realize, like, I had, you know, let's say you got 10 and you like, all right, I'm probably going to close 7 of these, but only 2 of them closed. Right. And you say, like, oh man, I thought I had a possible 10, 20, 30,000. Yeah. And then your spouse is like, all right, well, we got that possible, and then it don't close. I've seen, not only have I made that mistake, I've seen other people too. Like, we just get excited about what's possible, and then the prospect never closes. Right. And then your spouse is like, what's going on?
So how do you handle that, man? Like, how do you overcome that?
For me, over time, I stopped. I have this saying: until silver crosses my palm, I say nothing about it.
Oh, say it again.
Until silver crosses my palm, I say nothing about it. So if I got a potential deal, whatever it is, until that actual silver crosses my palm, I don't say nothing about it to anybody. I'm like, oh, it's just out there. And then once it happens, because you've been burned too many times, and then I've seen too where spouses get upset. They're getting tired of hearing, hey, you're possibly going to be bringing this and bringing that, and they're like, hey, I'm not seeing what you talked about. But I think too, I think you talked about it, the family dynamics within that. So I just think that home has to be taken care of.
Right.
That foundation allows you to scale not only your business, but other opportunities, because you need the time to think and the mental capacity to think. And I see a lot of times too, what comes into play is continually to date your wife.
Yeah.
Like making the time for yourself, even though you're busy. Because like we talked about, your first home is really the business.
Yeah.
And then everything else comes second. So
I like that. So what would you say are some other strategies? I mean, dating your wife is one thing. I think having those monthly business meetings, right? Because, obviously if your family life is your first business, then you need to be, strategic about having those conversations about where we are today, where do we want to be tomorrow, and game planning so that you can get there together and not separate. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think, so just like in business, your greatest resource is your time, money, energy, and the last one I always say, because of small business owners, is attention span.
Okay.
And so also compare that to your personal life. Where as a family do we need to be investing our time, money, energy, and attention span? And so you talk about having those deliberate business meetings. I look at, so me and my wife, we meet and we say, okay, we know we have a daughter. So where are we going to be spending some of our time, energy, and money? And so like we have her do things like rump and roll because she's small. So we got those already on the calendar. She's going to be interacting with other kids, we get to meet other parents. So we're already talking about, man, it just brings back that saying, a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Yeah.
What we're doing from our family with our energy, time, money, and attention is telling it where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Yeah, that's right. I like that. So that all goes down to being specific. And so we let off with talking about value. So when we focus on adding value to people, it is about being intentional about the type of conversations we're having, with the type of energy we're putting into those relationships. So today we're focusing on, home team here on ESPN 106.1 FM. So, we want you all to understand, as value brokers, if your goal is to be a value broker, you want to make sure that, first of all, you recognize the value that you have on the inside. We talked about that last week. But then you want to look at the people that are closest to you and put yourself in a position. So if you are married, now keep in mind, our tent is a little different, right? Our tilt is a little different. With two guys that have been married 10 plus years. So we want to appeal to those of you who are, either getting into that space or just getting started. Now, those of you who got a few years on us, we're going to invite you to send us some love mail or whatever. Send us some insights so we can share. Maybe we have you come on the show to share your perspective. Now, clearly, we're not relationship doctors here, right? I mean, I'm not going to claim to be a relationship guru, right?
No.
But I will say, based on my experience, the importance of that communication and that planning and that projecting, because here's the thing, your relationship shifts from when you're first together.
Yeah.
Then you had a kid, and then you get multiple kids. Like, the dynamics change, man. But the principles remain the same. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah. We only have one kid right now, so that changed the dynamic of just what we do, how we plan things. When you start to have that baby now, baby bag got to come. Got to make sure you're prepared for anything that could happen and all that stuff. So it's definitely a shift. And then they said that sometimes when you get the second, it causes a different dynamic.
It's a lot of juggling, bro. My kids, man, let me tell you something. They are 11 and 13, both girls. So, you got to get the hair done. You got to, all that stuff, man. It's a whole lot. And so my wife does a whole lot. And it's my responsibility to maintain that mental energy in the house, right? So I'm not going to create a whole bunch of drama. I could if I wanted to,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I didn't like the way certain things was done. But I will just say, you know what? I'm going to take one for the home team because I know that she is putting a lot on her plate, and that's adding value in a major way.
Yeah, I think the pandemic helped a lot of people respect what home is and how much work it takes. Like the other day I was thinking like, I'm going to give my wife her title of Chief Life Officer.
Like that.
Just because people don't understand when you got a lot going on, like, just from my experience with my wife, she schedules my doctor, my dentist appointments. Like, she runs my calendar. So that's chief life officer because those getting the checkups and all that stuff, making sure. I don't, I think in my life I may have booked one or two travel plans or flights. Beyond that, my wife does that. She makes sure that I'm staying in a nice hotel, that I'm going to be protected, and I'm not staying somewhere that I could possibly get robbed or harm could come to me. So, like, she's seriously the chief life officer over the family and everything and taking care of that. And I know everybody has their different dynamics, but I'm weak there. I just don't schedule. I'm just not good there. So she fills my weak spots, and then I'm able to come in and do what I need to do as a leader and a visionary. And yeah, but that chief life officer, I think that's key to having a.
Well, listen, I need to shift gears a little bit, man. Because speaking of chief life officer, bro, I almost lost my life this weekend, bro.
What?
Let me tell you something. So you talk about how your wife planned the trip. My wife planned a trip. We just got back from Charlotte. We went to this place called the US. It was like the Whitewater.
Okay.
It's like a whitewater center, National Whitewater Center. So they have this man-made whitewater center. Shout out to the people who are not whitewater rafting in the James River right now because of the stuff that's going on in there. But anyway, we went down there, man, and so we get in. They teach us all. They teach us the ropes, teach us what we need to do. We got our helmet on and our swim gear and everything like that. So we go down one path, and it's like smooth sailing. They're telling us, this is what to expect. And they say, listen, we're gonna go down this second. This second one is treacherous, right? And so we preparing you in advance because this second route is no joke. So we're like, all right, whatever. Why the first time we went down, man? Like almost everybody wiped out.
Okay.
So I'm in the water. They like swim, swim, swim. The second time, bro, I thought I lost a leg. I was like, it's a wrap. And what's crazy is I'm in the water. My youngest daughter, she gets flipped out into the water. So she's like, she's flowing. And I'm all I could think about was, man, I'm about to hit one of these rocks, man. I'm my life. And then my leg, I felt my leg dangling. I'm like, oh, my leg, I done lost a leg. Lord help me. So we get out. We live, obviously we survived. We're still alive, right? I'm still alive. I ain't dead. And I'm like, man, somebody probably got a video of this joint on the side, man. And sure enough, we about to go eat. And this lady walks up. She says, I just want to let you know, I got a video for you. And they show us wiping out. So we ended up, that's a little clip. We got it on Instagram. For those of you who want to catch it, you can catch me at YB The Connector. You see me wipe out. I had a friend of mine hit me up. She was like, yeah, I would have fell out if you would have put it to that song. No. Like, oh no. So anyway, but the point I'm making is, your wife make plans. Just make sure you got an extra life insurance. So if something ever happened, it's a wrap for you. You go to the whitewater rafting. And then here's what's funny. They make you sign a waiver because they know, you know what I'm saying? Like it's possible. You know what I mean? That cranium hit the rock, it's a wrap for you. So for those of you who understand the importance of having a powerful relationship, just understand, cherish your significant other. You know what I mean? Because it's tough. It's tough doing life solo, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's tough doing life solo. So.
ESPN 106.1 Richmond. I'm Patrick McFadden.
Peace and blessings. I'm Rob YB Youngblood.
Value Brokers. We're gonna head to a quick break.
All right, welcome back to the Value Brokers. This is Rob YB Youngblood, Chief Connecting Officer of YB Connects. You can find me on Instagram at where you can find me, bro? I'm tripping, bro.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, LinkedIn is where you can really find me, man. But YB The Connector, hashtag anything YB Connects, and I'm sitting with my guy Patrick McFadden. We're here at 106.1 ESPN Richmond. Patrick.
Yep, Patrick McFadden here, CEO of Indispensable Marketing. We increase your visibility and make your phone ring. And you can find me at indispensablemarketing.com or on LinkedIn, Patrick McFadden, and Instagram, PMcFadden7. I'm giving out free insights that can make your marketing successful every single day.
I love it, man. I love it. So one of the things that we talked about was the power of relationships, right? We talked about that internal power. I'm going to tell you about a relationship I just established. Shout out to my guy, Rylan Jones, with Lamar Marie's Gourmet Popcorn up in the Short Pump area, man. He just celebrated his 4th birthday.
Awesome.
And so, I got on my shirt that y'all might not be able to see this on the radio, obviously, but it says peace, love, and popcorn. So we showing love to those of you who love popcorn. Make sure you check us out, lamarmarie.com, and go ahead and order you some popcorn.
Now, speaking about, I guess, relationships in business, let's talk about how to, I guess, cultivate a good relationship. Now, you're a relationship expert.
Yeah.
I guess people struggle with, they're at a networking event
Mm-hmm.
and they see all these people. What should they do before maybe they get to the event or while they're at the event that can make a difference?
Yeah, the first thing is you got to know who you are. So you got to know what you bring to the table. So and I talked about this last week, but we want to continue to reemphasize the fact that there's 5 very important questions that you have to ask yourself. Right? It's all about being self-aware. One of my coaches say that people struggle because of lack of self-awareness. They don't have a understanding of who they are. So there's 5 important questions you want to make sure you're asking yourself to prepare for any type of networking event you may go to. The first one is, who am I? Right? And who am I is totally different than your title. It's funny when you ask somebody, who are you? They'll lead off with, well, I'm the president of X, Y, and Z. And that's not who you are. That's a title that you hold. That's a position you hold. So if somebody say, well, YB, who are you? I say, I'm a native of the Bronx, New York. I grew up in a single parent home. My dad was murdered when I was 2. Right? Because that separates me from every other person that might even have the same name, same industry, same title. You know what I'm saying? That who I am separates me from everybody else. So it's important to know who you are. The second one is, what do you do? It's important to have a value statement, right? Or elevator pitch. I call it the 6-second elevator pitch, something that I teach my clients. Then why do you do what you do? Now, that's a very important question, because a lot of folks will do business with you simply because of why you do what you do versus what you do. The next one is, who do you serve? And then lastly, what results can people expect to get from you? When you understand that and you then enter into a room, you can now have a high-powered conversation where you start with questions. I always encourage people, lead with questions. The worst thing, and I hate when I open up my email, Patrick, and I see a message from somebody and they just start out with, I this. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about you. I mean, I care, but I don't. Like, I'm looking at this email, you emailing me, but you talking about yourself. Like, are you reaching out to me, or are you focusing on? So I think it's important that we get focused on who we are, so that when we have a conversation with someone and we ask questions, when you ask a question, it's going to prompt somebody to ask a question back. And so that's your opportunity to be able to contribute and share the value that you bring to the marketplace, because you are self-aware.
I think this is a valuable tip that I'm about to offer. Once I change this in my whole company, from the way even my staff communicates, the response rate to our emails is probably 90%.
Come on, I love it.
Because we eliminated the word I and us. And let me explain what I mean. Instead of sending an email to say, hey, Rob, I want to sit down with you and discuss your business, take out I and say, hey, Rob, I want to sit down and discuss your business. Do you have time to chat? Just taking out I means that you're giving ownership back to that person.
That's right.
And when you do emails, I practice this so much. I'm like, hey, all right. Hey, I want, nope, take out I.
Check it out.
Let's get together and talk about X. Want to, like, I just eliminate I. Just take it out the first sentence of your emails. Your response rate will go nuts.
It's also about being vulnerable. You set yourself up for a no when you lead off and you don't talk about yourself, right? So you're giving somebody the choice. So if I say to you, hey, would you like to go to lunch? They're gonna either say yes or no, which is fine. If they say no, that's fine. You know where they stand. But if you say, I want you to come to lunch with me, they be like, okay, so you're not taking into effect that I'm on my summer break. It's all about you. And, and I'm gonna tell you where I got that from. There's a powerful book I encourage people to pick up, probably one of the shortest books you'll ever read.
Yeah.
It's called Skill with People by Les Giblin, right? Skill with People by Les Giblin. And it talks about that. Matter of fact, in the very first chapter, it talks about eliminating the word I, me, my,
Wow.
take that out. Because when you are approaching someone and you want to add value, the focus should be on them. So the greatest word we can use is you. Right? And I had to learn this from a professor. I graduated from Virginia Union, and she taught us business communication. You can write out your message, but then when you see the gap, go ahead and edit it. But in real time, we have to be cognizant and remember who we're talking to. We're talking to another person. The focus should be on them, not on us.
You know, it's funny. Where we get information but come to the same conclusion is amazing. So he got that from a book. I got that from a blog post by HubSpot talking about data research on email open rates. So it's just funny how he got that advice from a book that changed his approach. I got that from reading a blog on the internet. We're talking about research on open rates from salespeople.
But you know, there's nothing new under the sun, Patrick. I mean, even what we're sharing here on this show, it just so happens that, you know, you all are listening to us and we're sharing this insight. It may be new to you, but even if it isn't new to you, it may be given to you in a different way, or you may be ready to receive the information now, right? You may have, you know, I hear so many people say, you know, I wish they would have taught us this in school. In actuality, they probably did teach it in school, but because you wasn't paying attention, right? Or because you wasn't ready for the information, you know what I mean? And so there are some lessons that are not taught. But what we want to do here with the Value Brokers is we want to bring you information that's going to inspire, empower, and impact you so that you can continue to increase your visibility, credibility, and profitability. So, Patrick, tell them a little bit more about where they can find you, and I got something that we want to wrap up with.
Yeah, ESPN 106.1 Richmond, Patrick McFadden. You can find me at indispensablemarketing.com, LinkedIn, Patrick McFadden, and on Instagram at PMcFadden7.
Yeah, this is Rob YB Youngblood, your #1 connector, your LinkedIn locksmith. I'm the Chief Connecting Officer of YB Connects LLC. You can find me on LinkedIn, Rob YB Youngblood, on Instagram, YB the Connector. Listen, we're going to wrap up with a phenomenal video by my coach, my mentor, Dr. Eric Thomas. And it's so important for you to operate in your lane. Do not attempt to be like everyone else. Watch what people do, but do your own thing and make sure that you continue to focus on ways that you can add value to others. And, you know, when you do that, you will find that people will be attracted to you. Your name will be spoken of in rooms that you don't even know is happening because you start and lead with value. And so we definitely look forward to having you. Make sure you're following us and connect with us next week. And we look forward to connecting with you next week as well.
If you get rid of your phone, do you understand that you separate yourself from everybody else? Do you understand I'm #1 in the world, not because I'm the best. I'm not the best speaker in the world. I'm not the best. The reason why I'm #1 is because I've been getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning putting out free videos. All I want y'all to do this year is stop doing what they doing. If you stop doing what they doing, you're going to be a champion.